Today, we're diving into something that's quietly reshaping our entire work life. It's called the Great Job Stagnation. And it really all boils down to this one huge paradox. You've got research showing that a staggering 80% of us are not happy in our jobs. But most of us aren't going anywhere. So what's really going on here? Why are so many people staying put? And this chart, wow, it just lays it all out there. The quits rate, that's people who are voluntarily leaving their jobs, has dropped to just 2%. At the exact same time, job dissatisfaction is hovering near 80%. I mean, that is a massive gap between how we feel and what we're actually doing about it. So that brings us to the first big reason for this disconnect. Our priorities have totally shifted. For a lot of people right now, the security of a steady paycheck is just way more important than finding a job that actually makes them happy. You hear this phrase a lot now. People are holding on for dear life. There's this undercurrent of economic anxiety that's making us cling to our current jobs, even the ones we don't like. And this creates a kind of holding pattern where nobody's making big moves and the whole market just slows down. And the numbers, they totally back this feeling up. A full 6 out of 10 workers say they feel less confident about finding a new job today than they did just a few years ago. That fear right there is a powerful anchor. And this isn't some brand new thing. It's a trend that's been building for decades. If you go back to 1983, the average time someone stayed at a job was about 3.5 years. Fast forward to 2022, and it's climbed to over 4 years. We are, quite simply, staying in our jobs longer and longer. But okay, what's the big deal if everyone just stays put? Well, it turns out this inaction comes with a pretty hefty price tag. Let's really break down the financial hit here, because it affects everything from the global economy all the way down to our own paychecks. The scale of this problem is just staggering. Globally, low employee engagement is estimated to cost the economy nearly $9.6 trillion a year. That number is just mind-blowing. It represents all the lost productivity and stalled innovation from a workforce that's just not all in. And at the same time, the reward for jumping ship just isn't what it used to be. A decade ago, switching jobs could get you a nice 10% pay bump. But today, that reward has shrunk to an average of just 4%. The risk of making a move just doesn't pay off like it once did. Now, let's flip this around and look at it from a company's perspective. It's not just about what they're losing, it's about the massive opportunity they're missing out on. Studies show that teams that are actually engaged are full 21% more productive. In fact, companies that get this right can see up to 3 times the revenue growth. It's huge. Okay, so we've talked about the money, but there's a much more personal side to all of this. This stagnation is taking a profound human toll, and we're seeing it explode into a widespread health crisis. I'm talking about burnout. And let's be really clear here. Burnout is not just a buzzword for feeling tired. The World Health Organization officially defines it as a medical syndrome. It's what happens when you have chronic workplace stress that just isn't managed. That gives it a clinical seriousness we really can't ignore. And if you think this is some rare thing, check this out. A whopping 7 out of 10 workers have felt symptoms of burnout in the past year. This is not a niche problem anymore. It's basically the majority experience for the modern worker. So what's fueling this fire? Well, about 37% of companies have put hiring freezes in place. But the work doesn't just vanish, right? It gets piled onto the people who are still there. This means the average employee is now dealing with about a 15% bigger workload, creating a perfect storm for exhaustion. And this whole situation doesn't just impact people already in the workforce. It's creating this massive bottleneck, like a giant wall for the next generation that's just trying to get started. And this number is just jarring. The number of available entry-level jobs has plummeted by 30%. Think about that. For anyone trying to get that first foot in the door, that first rung on the ladder is getting really, really hard to grab onto. And this quote just puts a human face on that statistic. You can almost hear the frustration in their voice. For a lot of new grads, this is their reality. A year of sending out applications and just getting silence in return. It's one of the toughest entry-level markets we've seen in more than a decade. All right, so finally, all this stagnation points to a bigger, almost hidden risk. When a workforce stops moving, what happens to the flow of new ideas? Are we forgetting how to innovate? See, historically, one of the main ways industries have innovated is through people. When an employee moves from one company to another, they act like a bee, cross-pollinating ideas, experiences, and new skills. job hopping is actually a key driver of creativity. But with people voluntarily leaving their jobs down by nearly 18%, that crucial flow of ideas is slowing to a trickle. Companies risk becoming these isolated bubbles, just recycling the same old knowledge and missing out on the fresh perspectives that lead to breakthroughs. Which brings us to our final big question. This isn't just about jobs or the economy, it's about our culture. When the very people who power our progress are stuck in place, what happens to our collective ability to move forward? Does progress itself just grind to a halt?